Joining us now is our friend, chief political correspondent, Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor. You see him there with Greta all the time, and that's Byron York. Hello, sir.
Hi, Steve. It's good to be here.
Well, always a pleasure, and I thank you for taking the time. Okay, so I don't even know where to start. I just did a segment on the rhetoric, and of course Harry Reid apologizing for his over-the-top rhetoric, as he put it. Jay Carney yesterday telling Ed Henry there's no contradiction between the president calling for civility after the Gifford shooting in Tucson and what he's been saying, and just today, you know, Boehner, in response to Boehner, when Obama went to the fast food restaurant, he said, I'll negotiate, but I'm not going to negotiate when can't do it with a gun being held to the head of America. I mean, what's with this fascination with this violent imagery?
It is funny if you remember the things that they said.
Yeah, I just played him at Tucson. You know, it's incredible.
Yes, that Sarah Palin targeting Democrats for defeat in the election somehow was connected to that shooting. And later, of course, we learned that it was a complete madman. And, you know, as a matter of fact, I was thinking this morning somebody should do a piece about acts of violence that the press has reflexively tried to pin on Tea Partiers.
Oh, yeah.
But failed to do so.
Yeah.
You know, in Aurora, Colorado, I believe, another just completely insane human being. I believe, wasn't it NBC that, or maybe Brian Ross of ABC?
Brian Ross of ABC came out and said they believe he's a Tea Party member by that name. Yep.
And of course, remember the explosion or the bomb in Times Square. Mayor Bloomberg.
Oh, yeah.
Suggested it was somebody angry, but I'm writing the piece as we talk.
And he said that. Yeah, good. I'm glad you. And he said that to Katie Couric. And at that time, he had to know, because I knew that Ray Kelly and the police were looking for, I think, a Pakistani man. So it's incredible. I can't wait to see that piece.
Well, who knows? I may get around to it. But, I mean, what's happening here, I mean, it appears that people are just kind of dug in for the weekend, which is one of the things that's been interesting is how both sides seem to have made their peace with a shutdown, and that the shutdown was not the radioactive, nuclear, hot stove, whatever image you want to use, was not quite as powerful a thing as everyone thought it would be, at least for the first few days.
Yeah, the Dow's up 77 today. The Nasdaq's up 34. The S&P's up another 12. And traditionally during shutdowns, that's what happens, especially with the S&P. It goes up. But so what is the next move? I see, and this should stick in the craw of Americans, and the Republicans, even though they passed this, they should point this out. The White House says it will support the House bill to provide back pay for furloughed federal workers. So funding kids with cancer, funding all kinds of social programs in parks and recreation and whatever. The president says, I'll veto it. The Senate says, get lost. But to guarantee furloughed workers back pay, that they'll vote yes on. I mean, that's go ahead.
The president also voted, instantly to the bill to make sure that the military is paid.
Yes.
So Republicans thought, and I think reasonably, that the president has set a precedent, and by signing this bill to fund part of the government. So then we heard, worries about the National Institutes of Health being closed, so they passed a bill to fund the National Institutes of Health. We've seen what's happened at the national parks, especially on the mall here in Washington. So they passed a bill to fund the Park Service. And the president issued a statement today and said that he would veto any and all of these bills. So the House has passed 10 of these things, right? The very targeted spending things. The president's message listed all 10. It says, if these come to my desk, I will veto HRES 47, HRES 53.
Right.
So he's very specific in saying that he's going to stop any effort to fund some smaller part of the government.
Except the one to guarantee back pay to the furloughed workers.
Back pay to the furloughed workers and to the military.
Yeah, to the military, yeah. And I saw a picture today. The World War II memorial, the gate it's closed again?
This is just insane. I mean, I have to say I don't understand this. This is if you've ever been there, it's an open air memorial.
Right, it's never closed.
It's not like the Smithsonian where you walk in a door, and it's a building filled with exhibits and its staff. This is a large walk-through open area memorial, and you can go look up, here's this battle or that battle, or this state and that state. And It's like the Vietnam Memorial in that sense. And why? It takes more staff to close it than to keep it open. As a matter of fact, it's open 24 hours a day and only staffed for about, 14 hours a day.
Right. Well, there was a story where a park ranger was quoted as saying that we've been told to make life as difficult for people as we can. It's disgusting. And then you look also in Blue Ridge Hotel. The Park Service was trying to close down, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, the Pisgah Inn, a private inn that holds a concession on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And also there's Mount Vernon, private property in Mount Vernon, New York. They're trying to close that down. This is outrageous.
Yeah, and actually I've seen reports from the American Cemetery in Normandy, France.
Yes.
Which is closed at the morning. Fox News did a live shot from there this morning, which of course, people travel to Europe and they want to go see this. They're finding out that this is shut down. So,
and the World War II vets get the honor flights to come here to go see their own memorial, and that's closed down.
I know. And so it does seem like the Obama administration is, maybe they're trying to make it as miserable as possible, but that's not making the point. They're not making the point they want to make. And look, the public already blames Republicans in some significant part for what's going on, and the early polls, the pre-shutdown polls, showed that they blamed Republicans significantly more than Democrats. And my guess is now they're beginning to equal it out. So I think he's actually being counterproductive in terms of distributing blame on this. He's earning more blame for this shutdown than he had a few days ago.
We're talking to Byron York, chief political correspondent, Washington Examiner, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, what is going to happen? Yesterday, Peter King told me that he had heard and he believed there could be backdoor negotiations. He had heard rumblings that they're going to combine this CR into a budget and then the debt ceiling and make it all one big deal. Is that happening, or is nothing happening as far as you know?
Well, nothing is happening in terms of Democrats and Republicans talking. Okay, so the Republicans are trying to make a grand bargain with themselves right now.
Right.
So what are we in? We're in day 4 now.
Yep.
And there were two schools of thought about this. That if the shutdown were painful, that the members of Congress would try to solve this. And right now, it appears that efforts to stop this shutdown are not really all that frantic. And that people are seeing, as you know, that the nation hits its debt ceiling apparently on October 17.
Right.
And I think more and more people on Capitol Hill are saying, well, we need to get some sort of deal that would lift the debt ceiling, and the way to do that would be to have a budget agreement in there as well. And then we solve both of the problems with one agreement. Now, does that mean the government just stays shut down until the 17th? A number of them feel that the answer is yes. Others say, well, that seems too long, we'll try to fix it. But the fact is, there does not seem to be this frantic 24/7 effort to end this shutdown. I mean, both sides seem somewhat satisfied with it.
Yeah, and they both think they're making their points, and the president continues to use gun and hostage analogies. So here we go. I guess we're in for maybe a slow weekend, and then we'll pick up again next week. Byron, thank you very much, and do write that column because it needs to be written.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Byron York, ladies and gentlemen, chief political correspondent, Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Just insanity. Think about this. The Republicans have passed about 10 piecemeal pieces of legislation to fund various parts of the government, including the National Institute of Health to help kids with cancer. The Democrats haven't taken any of it up. President says, I'll veto it. But the one he won't veto, he vetoed he approved military pay and back pay for furloughed workers. That's more important than kids with cancer to the president and the Democrats. When we come back, we'll talk about the D.C. incident yesterday on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.